Hey, hello everybody, welcome back to another streaming about ZBrush and jewelry. My name is Nacho Riesco and we are going to be here during the following 2 hours sculpting jewelry designs. Thanks to everyone who have been watching this streaming, and thanks to all of you who are going to watch the recording once it is finished. So welcome everybody, and well, pay attention to the chat, so leave your comments, your suggestions. We can talk about what I'm doing, and we can talk about some question or doubts you are having using ZBrush. Welcome, people are coming. Hey Fexter, how you doing? Welcome, as always. Glad to have you here. Welcome Sebak, Dumanian, and welcome MTS Motion. Welcome everybody. And thanks to all of you who are here watching me working with ZBrush. Okay, let me check if all my settings are working correctly. Looks like everything is working fine. Let me know. Good to see you here again as well, Sebak. Welcome. Let me know if the music is too loud or my voice is not clear or not loud enough. Just let me know if you're having any issues with the sound. And we can start right now. But maybe the music a little bit lower. I'm gonna put it lower on my side. And welcome. Today I'm going to keep working on this design. I think this is going to be the third streaming about this design. If you are interested on watching the previous one I did, you should go to the Maxon, ZBrush, or Pixelogic, or Maxon, Twitch, or YouTube, and you will find them under this playlist. You go to the Maxon ZBrush official, for example, on YouTube. You go to the live sections, you're gonna scroll down, and this is, let me find it, this is the one I did 4 weeks ago. If I keep scrolling down, maybe I will find the other one. This is 2 months ago, and probably this is gonna be the third one if I remember well. Let me check. No, there isn't any more about this one. I think this is going to be the third one, right? Yeah, this is going to be the third one, because the other design I was making was this one, the Lalique serpents pectoral. Okay, so this is going to be the third live about this design. I like to give credits to all of the reference I was using to create this idea. This is the original drawing I made. The idea comes from these 3 different concepts from these 3 different artists. William Santiago, this is the main, you can see mainly the pose of the panther comes from here. I grabbed some references about the grass here. From Major Feltham, and I grabbed some inspiration about this kind of cool art deco kind of illustration from Nicolas Gaetano. Also, a big inspiration for me came from Cartier. You know, it's a well-known jewelry brand, and which is very famous about its panthers, and this is the very well-known jewelry technique called liptic, and this depends on in French or in English, where you are carving forms directly on the stone. So they are well known, the panthers. Cartier is having on many of its designs, and the inspiration came from here. So having this kind of style, simplified style of panthers, which were carved directly from a block or from a piece of a stone. Most of the time onyx, or maybe probably other kind of a stone, but most of the time comes from kind of white onyx or black onyx. And this one not. These ones were carved in wax, or this looks like clay. This one, but okay, you know what I'm saying. The inspiration from Cartier style panther, from this kind of cool, simplistic or stylized curves on their bodies. And another idea that I found, it's use this ancient, a very specific jewelry technique called guilloche, with where you are having a background with a repetitive or geometrical or this kind of I don't know how to say, a liner pattern, which is covered with a clear enamel, or most of the time a little bit colored or tinted with different colors, where you are having this effect. It's like a clear, shiny surface, where underneath you have a pattern which gives color to the design. And this is the thing that we are going to try to replicate on the background. I decided to create this pattern, which I found on internet. This pattern, I like it, and I use this idea to put it on the background of the design. And this is what we have so far. And we are going to start working from this point. I'm going to load the previous step. This is the number 4. Maybe this is going to be dependent. This is the point where I left the design on my previous stream, I think, where you can see the panther is not still worked. So it is still, it is still composed by different subtools. It is still split into different subtools. You can see here. Let's see if I'm able to, let me open. So okay, here you can see it very clearly. When each part of the panther is composed by an individual subtool in an individual mesh. So I went from this list of different subtools, make a whole dynamesh with all of them, and I started sculpting the anatomy of the body. If I turn off the color, maybe with a white color, it has kind of surface noise. Let me select it where I am. Where are you? Here. And so this is what we have. This is the panther with all of the individual pieces where dynameshed and then sculpted, trying to follow different lines. I was making a study about the lines. Is this one. I'm going to show you this one, and this is the more or less the idea of the rhythm of the different lines, of the different curves. You can see on the spine we have a big S, goes from the neck or from the back of the head till the bottom of the design, making a very big S, and then trying to follow, start building different curves and straight lines till having a good rhythm between all of them. Okay, I will try to pay us more attention to the chat, so if you have any comments, questions, you are welcome to leave your comment. Hey Kat, welcome. Very glad that you are here. Nice to see you here too. So the beautiful enamel, yeah, enameling technique called guilloche, with the low relief cover with the low relief, with the low kind of pattern. But I'm thinking now, because we are still, as I was saying on the previous streaming, we are still on the designing process. That means that we are still developing the design or the idea. Everything right now, it's almost just a sketch. So that means that they are not completely finished. We are taking decisions during the designing process, so we can change things. We can, for example, modify shapes, or we can still have a lot of room for making a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments. And one of the adjustments that I have in mind, maybe not for today, because maybe it will take too much time and we will be here making the same thing the whole streaming, it's the shape that I have on the background. pattern. This is the background pattern we have. Okay, before start keep talking. So if I turn off the boolean, you can see how funny it looks like the design. Now everything is composed by many different subtools, cutting, making different booleans between each other, and this is the how it looks like in reality. When we turn on the live boolean button, everything comes completely different. But you can see this is the technique behind the most of the time my way of working. When I try to find a non-destructive way of working, that means that I like to split everything into different subtools, into as many subtools as necessary, and I use a lot the live boolean system when I need to cut things, to remove things, or to hide things sometimes. That this technique allows me to, as I was saying before, during the designing process, to change a lot of things with a very flexible way. So this is so that's the reason why if I select the subtool on the pattern, if I turn on the solo mode, this is what I'm watching. Because if I turn on the transparency, you can see I am cutting the borders of the pattern using these blocks that I have here. I'm using these blocks for both sides, left and right, and I have these blocks for the corners. And that's the reason why I'm just watching the portion of the part of the background which is inside of the box, on this kind of box. This is 1 2 3 4 6 an octagon shape. Hey Choco Bear, welcome. I like your name, Choco Bear. Okay, so what I was about to say is, you can see here on the pattern, come on, I'm trying to select the subtool of the pattern. You can see here it has a square shape. Right now it is like this, and I think it's gonna be looks much better if I change from this to make something more like this, one triangular shape. I'm saying that this will be more something like this. So from the top will looks like more like something like this, where this vertex will be this here. I think it will be more sophisticated, a little bit better. And the only idea that I had to make this is to start grabbing a cube, making the shape of the cube, going from a cube to a triangle, and then make it longer and start matching, following the different curves till matching the whole pattern. That's the reason why I said before, maybe it's going to take a lot of time. Maybe today I'm going to try to make different things, not just be focused on one part of the process. But what I was trying to tell you, for example, just for roughly show you how to make this. If for example insert a cube, I'm gonna turn off everything and keep this on. And one very cool feature about ZBrush that I love to use many times, when you are having any subtool, or any, in this case, primitive, if you go to the initialize section, here we can transform this cube into a cube. If I click here, if I zoom in the piece, come here, we went from here to here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but you can see this is the topology, and this is the topology of a cube, where we have 4 faces on a cube. This is a very simple, basic, low poly mesh. So for this, starting from this, it's going to be very easy to transform this into a triangle shape. I'm going to try to match as I can, more or less, the thickness, because when we are sculpting and we are having in mind to make a jewelry piece or a printable object, it's going to be very important to know which are the measurements that we are using. For example, if I I have the cube selected. If I go to the scale master, if I'm reading the current measurement, here I can read the cube is 0.4 millimeter side. 0.4, it's from a realistic point of view, I think it's going to be able for be printed and casted. I think it's around half of a millimeter, or we can stay over 0.3 millimeters till 0.5 millimeter. We are going to have success on the printing on the casting process. Of course, using the high definition printers commonly used on the jewelry industry. Well, let me read the comments. You have learned lots of techniques watching. Very glad to know that. I'm very grateful that you are here watching my streaming time, my previous streamings as well. You can ask whatever you want. I will be glad to keep helping you. Took a look for implementing my. Oh, thank you very much. It makes me happy because this is the mainly reason. But because I'm here is just sharing with you my experience, maybe my knowledge. Spending 2 hours with you talking about the usage of ZBrush applied to jewelry design, which is not very common to see, and I like that what I'm doing is helping you. Carlos Mario Rosales, you should be on Twitch also, but I think from my experience there are more people coming from YouTube than from Twitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this H with the C modeler. I'm going to delete. It will complete. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this. Now I'm going to grab this. I'm going to invert the mask. I'm going to invert the mask, and I'm going to make the triangular shape I'm looking for. Something more like this. I'm going to push this. Maybe this high, and maybe it should be a little bit longer. I'm gonna grab just the base using mask, and I can start making this. So I'm gonna extrude it, make it longer. No, I was using the wrong modifiers, using like this. Okay, because I have the mask is still active. That's the reason why I was having this issue. So maybe just instead of, I can use a mask, and now I can start making something like this. And at this point, it's gonna be necessary to start bending. So if I turn on my polyframe, I can keep using the C modeler. I'm gonna insert here an H, insert right here, and now I'm going to grab this, invert the mask, and this is going to be the bending point. I can put one here, and this is another one here. Maybe it's gonna be better to use the mask lasso, invert the mask, and we can start using this. Maybe I can adjust this to vertices. Yes, let me see. And it looks good enough. It's not going to be necessary to match 100% the curves, but and here I can keep pushing. This should be till here. Maybe it's gonna be necessary to grab this one. This is the good thing about working with a very low poly mesh. So where we are going to be able just to grab or to modify points, and it's gonna be much easier to keep completely straight lines, because we'll have 2 points, 1 point here, another 1 point here at the end. So we're going to be sure that between the 2 points, we're going to have 1 polygon. So we are sure that we have a 100% straight line. So we can Let's see if because it's not gonna be necessary to replicate the whole thing that we are watching on the screen now, because we are considering the limits. So just considering, so we should go further than the limits of the box. So, but this is gonna be necessary to bend again to make a bending here. So we apply another point, and now we can grab this section, invert the mask, relocate the gizmo here, and now we're gonna start bending this. So we can have this. So this is what we have. What we can do to avoid this kind of low resolution mesh or facets, so it doesn't look nice yet. What we can do now, maybe we can go here to the groups by normal. So ZBrush will apply a different color, a different polygroup based on the different normals. And now if we close this. Sorry. If I'm gonna put this here, crease polygroups, and now we can go to dynamics of the vision, geometry. Okay, saving time, geometry, dynamics of the vision, turn this on, and maybe the number 1. And this is what we get, and it is not the because let me see. Yeah, maybe you can see here ZBrush doesn't differentiate these two faces, even that they have a different angle. We can modify the angle of the normals, maybe lower, or if we don't find the right value, you can still using the simulator, and we can apply creased, makes loop complete. Now it's complete here, another one creased here, and then everything should work. Now if I turn this on, maybe we are still having enough polygons here. You can see looks a little bit better, but here not better enough. So maybe we can we need to add one more. This, and maybe we can grab this. We are still now start having a smoother surface. So it's just during the creation process to be sure that everything is gonna look nice once we start subdividing the mesh. But at this point we are just sketching the form. Oops. So it's not gonna be necessary at this point to be very obsessed about the precision of the how precise we are creating the topology. We are just trying to match more or less the kind of pattern that we are about to create. And from this point, it's just to start repeating this using, for example, control drag. Let me send it to the center. I'm having problems today with my keyboard. I don't know why. Now, and maybe the battery is a little bit low. So we can start control drag. So we can start, and now start modifying the shape. Control drag here, control drag here, and then it's just gonna be necessary to cut or modify the length of each bar. For example, this one, if I grab this, I can you, I want to select you, and now it's gonna be necessary to put this here. And this is the reason why I was saying before, this is gonna take a little bit of time, so maybe for today it's gonna be a bit boring to just be making this. Maybe it's just to show you which could be the right way of changing the shape, and maybe it's gonna be, I'm gonna make it a little bit not so sharp, maybe more or less like this, and I think it's gonna looks better if I think like it's gonna be necessary to hide some of the subtools just for checking how it works, because as we are still on the designing process, we are having a lot of subtools. Maybe some of them are not going to be useful. I will need to delete a lot of them, but you can see this is gonna be this high, and then you can see it looks much better than before, right? So I'm gonna start removing some subtools that I don't want to use. I'm gonna this, okay, and this is, I think, looks much better. You know what I mean? The shape of this kind of shape instead of completely flat on a square. I think like this is gonna be much better, I think, my opinion. Let me check your comments. Nacho, have you already had the opportunity to work with the version of ZBrush? No. I was invited to use ZBrush on the iPad, but I'm not an Apple user, so I haven't got an iPad or any Apple device, so I rejected because I'm not an Apple user, and I'm not going to be in the future an iPad user, so it hasn't sense for me. Yeah, I think maybe they are having a lot of time to launch the final version of ZBrush for the iPad. I don't know why, but I think I know that they are still working on it. Maybe in the coming future, you will be able to work on an iPad with ZBrush. Hi, Manu, welcome. Thanks a lot. Glad you like it. And thanks a lot for coming, of course. Okay, let's make more progress. So another thing about I'm not sure yet. Let's see, I need to turn this on. I think you can see it looks much better, more attractive and interesting, because when we are designing, when we are creating a jewelry piece, most of the time it's going to be casted on a precious metal or on a metal. It doesn't matter if it is precious or not. Maybe this piece is going to be closer from more like a high jewelry piece instead of a more regular kind of jewelry design. But for example, if I change the material, what I want to say, it's you can see the difference between having different planes who is facing to the front when we are using flat surfaces, when I'm talking about this subtool. And now you can cast reflection on the surface. You need to move a lot of the piece still having the right reflection, but you can see how the light reacts on this surface. So that's the reason why, or that's the main reason why we should try to change from a flat boring surface to a facet or angle facet surface like this one. You can see now the light reacts better on this shape, on this geometry, than on this geometry. This geometry is completely flat. The light reacts on the sides, but it's hard to cast nice bright on the flat surface. But with this shape, it's going to be much more easy to to cast nice reflections. So that's the main reason why I took this decision to change this kind of boring surface, flat boring surface into this one. But I will spend a little bit of time replicating the pattern following the technique I was showing to you before. So let's change the material. And another doubt that I have, you can see here I have everything grouped into different folders. But I have the pattern, I have the plate, the back plate, the box itself. I have the guilloche part of the process. This is, I mean, the background. And here I have the grass. And before going to the grass, maybe let's hide all the poly paint. The diamonds are just placed to know which is how many I'm gonna be able to set on the available surface. I think the diamonds, they are, or the hems, they are about 1 millimeter. I think from top to bottom, yes, 2 millimeter diamonds, or hemstone, or crystals, or whatever you are able to set on the surface. Of course, if we are talking about diamonds, it's gonna be much more expensive. Hard BS, what do you mean with the projection tips while using hard surface? Could you explain a little bit more about what you need? Projection tips. Or what do you mean with projection or projection tips? Okay. So here I have a problem on the Panther. This is okay. No, this is the Panther. This is the Panther, original Panther with all of the subtools. This is not the folder that I need to use. I need to use this one. What I have, this Panther here, and this is what I have. And the concern that I'm having now, it's gonna be good or not to split the head from the body or keep it as just one piece. It's gonna be easier for assembling having only one part. It's not going to be very difficult if I split the body, the Panther, into two different pieces, the body and the head. So the reason why I'm thinking about that is because I have this separation, the collar or the necklace of the Panther. So it's going to be in it, and the Panther, it's going to be something like this. Maybe with this technique, it's going to be able to spend less metal because the collar is not going to be solid, but probably it's going to take more time during the assembling process. And if we are talking about more assembling time, we are talking about more money. Sometimes the decision that you are taking during the designing process or during the sculpting process, thinking about how to save money, maybe they can take consequences in terms of you are gonna need more money, more manual, or more people assembling the piece instead of the money that you are going to need to put on the material. So it's gonna be hard sometimes, but I think in this case it's gonna be better if I keep maybe the Panther into two pieces, into two parts, because if not, it's gonna take a little bit more of time assembling just the necklace of the collar of the Panther. So let's see. The best solution about this kind of problems, or the solution that I normally take, is to start talking with the jewelers or with the professional who are going to manufacture the design. Probably they are going to have the right solution, because they are knowing the effort that they need to put into making one thing or the other thing. But I'm not sure, but as I think I'm gonna take the decision now to split the Panther into two pieces. And for this, if I'm having this shape, it's gonna be as easy as try to make it solid till the bottom, like this, and this is going to be something like this. Now the piece looks a little bit weird, but we are gonna clean it after. I'm just looking for the shape. This is the necessary. I'm gonna need to buy this tool as well. So, and this is what I need. So I have different polygroups. What I can do is using the slice curve, I can slice the mesh. ZBrush is telling to me that the mesh is composed by different subdivision levels. I'm gonna remove the hires. I'm gonna now the slice brush, and you can see I have different, the mesh is split into different polygroups. I'm gonna try to get rid of the bottom part of the piece. Select a rectangle, U and U. Let's turn on the double like this. Now we can delete hidden, close holes, and now we can zero mesh the piece. So using the normal setting that I use, so we are looking for probably the same amount of polygons, smooth groups. Don't apply any smoothing to the new mesh, and give me a new topology. So like this, we have a completely clean mesh like this. Probably maybe it's gonna be better in terms of assembling if we get straight walls instead of this is looks more concave. In terms of assembling, it's going to be much easier if we try to make it straight, because we're going to have two pieces for the panther, and it's gonna be necessary to assembling one part into here, another part into here. So I think it's gonna be better to keep this. I'm gonna hide this, the hemstones, because maybe like this. I'm gonna hide this one as well, and then I'm going to I'm gonna use a cool tip. Probably some of you don't know the power of the transpose line. You can see here we have this X scenario when I have, this is the angle that I have here, and this is the angle that I have here. And it's going to be necessary to change the angle, pushing this here. So just trying to make it matching this instead of this. So with the transpose line, this is very easy to achieve. With the rotation, I am in rotate, and with the Alt key pressed, I need to grab this, and I can start bending this like this, and now I'm having the right angle that I'm looking for. And maybe it's gonna be necessary to make it longer. With the move brush, vertical, Alt key again, and I can extrude just the bottom part. Don't forget that the transpose line, that's very, very powerful tool and you can do a lot of things with it, not just measuring or moving. You can make a lot of deformations, which are very handy and very useful. Okay, let me see your comments. Harsh, I boolean and create some complex hard surface and then zero mesh them, but zero mesh doesn't sound it. Loses, yeah, some details. Do I use projection for that? But sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, good question. I know what you mean. Let me say this first, and I will try to give you an answer. It doesn't work. Should I keep something in mind? So I'm looking. Okay, I will try to answer the question come from Art BS. I know what you mean, because when you are creating, when you are using booleans, and you want the result of the boolean mesh, and you try to make a new mesh, depending on the version of ZBrush that you are having. For example, if I grab this, let me make a polymesh. Let's make a duplicate. Let's see, let's try to make kind of hinge. If I put here and I put here this, and I try to put it here, let's duplicate this. Duplicate. Let's make it smaller, longer. Yeah, something like this, right? So this should be the first, the second, and the third. So if we have something like this, and we create the boolean, so we go to boolean mesh, and we should have the result here somewhere. This one, yeah, this one, this is the result, and we have here this, and we are having this kind of weird topology because most of the time when we are making booleans, and it's my case, we are using many different kind of meshes with different topologies, with different density, and this is what we have. I think, in my opinion, or most of the time, I have to say, maybe there isn't any magical rule or only one answer which always works. So depending on the mesh that you are doing, probably you should take different ways or different techniques. But the main concept about this is to try to split all of the surfaces or all of the faces or all of the hard surfaces into different polygroups to try to keep the borders between the different polygroups, I mean the corners or the edges, as cleaner as possible. So this is what we have here. As easy as use the group binomials. So ZBrush will differentiate. For example, here you can see here we are having the same polygroup here than here, and if we try to zero mesh this piece, we are going to lose this edge or this corner. So first step to take is groups binomials. So we are having different polygroups. Next step, what I normally take is crease the polygroups. So we are going to crease the borders or the frontiers of the different polygroups. Let's make this smaller. And now try to subdivide the mesh. Apply, for example, one subdivision or two subdivision. So the idea is to try to create a more dense mesh. So it doesn't matter how weird the topology is, it is like this. And now try to go to zero measure. Tells to ZBrush that you are looking for the same or double. Maybe the double will, depending on the load of polygons that you need. Maybe probably depending on how big the piece is, and maybe, or if you are using the techniques like me, trying to keep everything into as many individual parts as necessary. You are not going to be very worried about the poly count about only one subtool. So everything is going to be split into small groups of polygons. And now keep the groups. Very important here, smooth groups. Don't apply any smoothing to the groups. And now make the zero measure. And voila, this is what you have. So you're going to keep the right. So you're going to need polygroups and creased edges and a good number of polygons. Once you have this, maybe you have the ingredients for having success when you are making a new topology. For example, if you are coming from a very low topology, boolean, so you're going to try to change the topology of that piece, you're going to have strange things like this, maybe. But as I said before, depending on for example, you keep this and you tell to ZBrush the same thing, give me the same with the polygroups, maybe you're going to lose a little bit of shape here. It's better to split the groups, crease the edges, subdivide the mesh, keep a good flat or clean surfaces, and now you're going to be able to remesh the piece for having a good, a better topology. Well, I think I forgot here to split the groups. For example, here, if I group by normals, ZBrush, you can see is still applying the same polygroup. You will find this slider here, you go to polygroups, groups by normals, you will find it here. By default is 45 degrees, but did you go from 45 to 25, for example, groups by normals, now you have a better polygroup distribution. So increase polygroups, Control D 2 times. So we are still having less than 100,000 polygons, very low poly count. Same with the polygroups. And error message aborted. So delete lower. Let me see if now it works. No. If I close holes, maybe there is something wrong with this, with the mesh. I did something bad. Now yes, now it works. But this is you can see here the problem I'm having here. Probably is the problem that you are having. This is going to be a good example. You can see here on this border, when you are remeshing, you can see the differences between this side and this side. The reason why is because I'm having the same polygroup here than here. It's going to be necessary to split it into two different polygroups. Groups by normals now, but before subdividing the mesh. Better. Now groups by normals. Now yes, and I can increase I can subdivide, and now I can make a new mesh. Yeah. Okay, so you can see now it works much better. You can see I'm still having the same problem here. You can see the same concept, same polygroup, bad results on the corners. Different polygroups, good result on the new topology. I hope that will help for you. If you want to keep the same topology with a less polygon, how can I do that? If you want to keep the same with a less polygon, if you want to go from higher to lower, it's gonna be, I think in my opinion, it's gonna be necessary to make the new topology manually. Because if not, you are gonna lose a lot of forms and shapes. If you want to go from a higher to lower topology, I think in my opinion, the only way is gonna be make the new topology manually. So you went from low to high, maybe you can apply this kind of automatical way of working. But if you want to go, for example, from here to a lower, maybe you can tell to ZBrush, give me half of polygons. You can have less, you can have even less, but at some point you're going to start losing shapes and forms or clean corners, depending on the thing that you want to make. But maybe I think it works pretty well. You can see here from dense to low, you can see the borders are still there. I think this modifier, the smooth groups, I think it was introduced on the version 2023. I'm not sure it is available in 2022 version, but it's a very good help with the new topology, with the algorithm of the series measure, the smooth groups slider. Okay, Taco Bear, I'm looking at that tiny gap between the start of the tail and the border of the eye. Let me see. Good appreciation. No, it's this one. Yeah, you are right. You are right. I think you are talking about the field concern technical wise. Wouldn't it be like a dirt accumulation area and it will be hard for clean? Yeah, I think keep in mind, for example, this I think you are talking about this little gap between the tail and the border. You are talking about this, right? You're talking about this, right? So at this point where I was, let me see if I can turn off the Panther. The Panther is going to be there. So there will be here a little gap. We are still putting things together, but you are completely right. So this is a gap which is going to be necessary to close. For example, And let me see the base. It's going to be this one. If I turn off the panther, the right position of this, if I change this, we are still putting things in place. So we are, let me blur the mask. So this is one of the things that should be fixed. So this, I think, is going to be necessary to deal here. And maybe a little bit open this, keep the mask active. Yeah, it will be closer, more like this. You can see here now the things, the tools are just sketched because they have a lot of imperfections yet, so it is not completely flat, and this curve doesn't match the other piece. But I think yeah, this could be, hasn't sense to have this little tiny gap, because in terms of the NML, this maybe it's gonna be problematic to fill this tiny gap. So it's gonna be better to keep the tail completely close here. It has more sense this instead of this. But for example, for the panther itself, of course, it's not going to be possible to match. It's going to be more problematic if we try to match this corner, giving this kind of shape like this. We can do it, but I think, in my opinion, will be enough. Leave it like this with a little bit of separation between the wall and the piece of the panther, because it's going to be easier to match the right position if we leave it like this instead of trying to match these three angles here. But as I said before, maybe it's going to be a good point for asking. So this should be more precise. It should be more something more like this. But I think the beauty of this is, I think, in my opinion, is how close, how is centered the panther on the box. If we increase the gap between the tail and I think it doesn't work so well. I think, my opinion. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think it should be more something closer, more something like this. Carlos Mario Rosales, is it a plugin? What are you talking about? Are you talking about any tool that I have been using, or webmaster? Have I been inspired by architecture of monuments, India? Not yet. But I have to say that they have a beautiful ornamentation of architectural style. I think could be a great inspiration for jewelry pieces. There is a huge jewelry industry in India. Okay, yeah, I got good enough. Thanks a lot. It was a little confusing, but I guess I will be able to work more smoothly. Yeah, try to the process that I told you, but that as I said before, there isn't a magical tip or only one right workflow. So depending on the kind of thing that you need to know to make, probably you should take different directions and different techniques, or combining different into only one piece. Matthews, when is ZBrush adding subfolders? Why? Or what do you need subfolders? Do you have this for working like subfolders? You can apply folders and you can apply groups of visualization. So that's the meaning of the V. You can, for example, you can tell to ZBrush under the V1 should be visible this one, this one, this one, and this one, and under the V2 should be visible the others. I think as more folders, as more organization layers that you add, I think you will make more and more complex the software. I prefer to keep things simple and basic. Probably when you are working with a lot of subtools, it's going to be handy for having a different subtools organization system, but it's just a matter of working with the software as it is. I know. The transpose is a very old tool. Before the Gizmo came, this was the system we were using for moving, scaling, or rotating meshes, and also adding to the basic instructions that you can do with the transpose. You can make a lot of things like extruding, bending, twisting. You can do a lot of things. If you have time, take a look at, try to make a search on Google about the transpose tool, and you will find a lot of applications and a lot of cool tips to make with it. And I use it mainly for as the main usage that I give to the transpose line is I use it as a ruler. So when I can start taking measurements, for example, if I need to know how thick is this, which is the distance between this point and this point, I am just using the transpose line, and I'm reading the value on my top left corner. If I hide this, you can see here on my top left corner, ZBrush is telling to me that the distance between the points I am taking, again from this point, not here, a little bit here, till here to here, I'm having 2.6886 millimeter. I can say I have 2.7 millimeters available. And for example, I need to know how big the eye is from top to bottom. The eye is around half a millimeter. So if we have planned to make a special stone for the eye, it's going to be very tiny. Maybe we should make it a little bit bigger to make the life easier for the guy who is going to carve, or who is going to create the stone for the eye. So if not, it's going to be very, very small. Yeah, the conflict of art and technicalities. Yeah, I know. See if I have missed any comment. If the polygroup color is close to the joining color, CMS sees the polygroup are the same polygroup. No. I think always see if you are applying different polygroups based on normals, even if the colors are almost similar, ZBrush will recognize two different polygroups. But if you want to reinforce, you need to give more instructions to ZBrush when he is calculating the new mesh. Apply the creases. So with that process, ZBrush will not be confused about where the corners and the borders are. Transpose line. Yes, cut transpose line. Do you know if Kitko is going to? Good questions, Karen. I'm still waiting for it. I was talking with Paul, I think 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago about it, and they are still, because they are just focused on the implementation of ZBrush for the iPads, but probably in the future it's going to be fixed, because the problem came not from ZBrush and not from the code of ZBrush. The problem came from the Kitco website. They changed the design of the website and probably the language of the website, and that's the problem. So Kitco, it is not able to connect with the information of the website anymore. Probably the plugin is going to be necessary to be recoded on that part, but probably the future it's going to be fixed. Well, all of us are waiting for it. Yeah, I know. I also just realized I was 20 minutes behind watching for that last. Oh, no problem. Steam works. Just I'm trying to recap all of your comments. Try to give you as more answers as possible. It's Tucoberry saying, I know The only problem with folders is that when you have different folders and you want them to be separate, but you also need to cut everything with the same cutter. Yeah, could be an issue, but it's just about make different copies from the same cutter. So each copy should be inside of a different folder, but at the end, always the solution is very easy and simple. Maybe it's going to be more complex in terms of programmation to apply subfolders instead of finding a very basic solution of duplicating subtools. But you can just put one subtool below everything and see it with the label. You need to copy this. Yeah, exactly the same, exactly what I did, what I said. Sometimes it's annoying. Yeah, sometimes it's annoying. I think it's very, for me, it's a bit funny because nowadays, all of us, we are always looking for the simple things or the fast way to do the things. And when we are using a digital tool like ZBrush, which is very powerful, it is already powerful. So, and we are still waiting things which makes our life easier. And sometimes it's as easy as spend a little bit more time, and that's it. It's not an issue of the tool that we are using. We can find many simple solutions and very basic solutions to find the result that we are looking for. It's not just a matter to keep requesting updatings or new tools or different ways to do the same thing. You have said it. It's as easy as to make a copy of a new subtool and that's it. It's annoying, yes. It will take more time to do one thing that could be simpler if you have a different process, yes, but it doesn't avoid that doesn't avoid to achieve the thing that you are looking for. So for me, and from my point of view, it doesn't matter. As I said before, I love to keep things simpler and basic. I'm not looking for more complex tools and more complex workflows. I think I can consider myself a very basic guy from from the technical. If we are talking from a technical point of view, you might be able to paste that tool to every font. Yeah. For example. But even, for example, if we are talking about copy and paste or duplicate and put the same subtool into different folders, we can be talking about 2 subtools, 3 subtools, or maybe 5, but no more. For example, we are not talking about repeating the same operation 100 times. Maybe you just repeat it 3 times, 4 times, and that's it. So the time is not gonna be very dramatic, I think. Okay, let me keep working on this. So this is what we have. I'm gonna try to make this. Another cool thing about keep talking about the transpose line. Another cool thing because if we want to, select the right view, if you want to make this completely straight, so you want to remove this and this portion of the mesh, a very good way to do it is with the transpose line, because transpose, where are you here? So from this point to this point, and now you can grab this, you can push the geometry into this direction, and it is not having the right angle. Maybe this way it's gonna be easier. So I'm having 100% straight wall, and the same thing here from this point to this point. Maybe it is not maybe I can change the angle. Something like this, and then like this. Both now they are straight. It should be thicker, so now I can put the transpose line and make it thicker. This, not so thick, maybe till here. And I'm going to use this for cutting the panther. So maybe this is going to be necessary to make it not so long here. I'm not going to pay attention to this, so maybe because it's okay. I think like this is going to work. Maybe I'm going to replicate the same thing here at the bottom, or maybe at the bottom we can use the clip curve brush. It's gonna be, you can do almost the same thing like this, and now I can make it longer. You can see here during the sculpting process or the designing process, I don't care about how clean the topology is. I'm just looking for the right shape. I don't care about how clean the topology is, because at some point it's going to be necessary to series method or dynamesh it, depending on the thing that you're doing. I'm going to group these subtools together, so I'm going to Control W, and now give me a new mesh with the same amount, with like this. And now I can apply polish by feature to clean, and we are start getting clean shapes. We are going to start cleaning the forms what we did during the sketching or during the designing process, and now it's going to be time to start cleaning things and having perfect shapes, almost definitive. I don't want to work with the pattern yet. And for the panther, let's see the panther. That's the reason you make the complicated into a simple logical. Yeah, I think it is not a things of my. It is not a. Sometimes I don't find the right word in English, so it is. I think I'm not talking about myself. I try to give you general explanation about. Most of the time, the easiest way to achieve things is taking the simplest way. It's not a matter of thinking about modifying the tool that you are having. It's much better to try. If you know well the tool that you are using, it's going to be easier to find the solution, of course. And most of the time, it is not so complicated as you are thinking. But maybe probably is the reason why ZBrush was my first 3D software, and probably is the reason why I'm using simple techniques or simple solution, because I'm not, as I said before, I am not a technical person, so I like more to try to find solutions which are closer to the traditional way of working, to the manual way of working. So if I need a cut, and if I need to cut something, I need a knife. So, and this is the reason I not need to find more complex things, or I don't know. I'm trying to explain maybe something a little bit complex. Okay, let's see if it's gonna be time to start removing, because I'm gonna delete the things that I think they are not going to be necessary at this point. So I'm going to remove parts of the. I think I delete something that I didn't want to delete. Okay, no problem. If I made the pattern, the blade, so I'm going to hide this one. So like this is gonna be enough. And for example, let's duplicate this. I like to, before I start making something new, when you have most of the parts already made, they are not 100% correct, but you're going to take a step where you are not sure about what you are about to do. I like to make a copy to make what I have in mind. If I am happy with the result, I delete the subtool that I don't need. But during the developing process, it's good to have backups or copies to get them safe. Maybe if the thing that you are doing is not gonna be correct, or for example, if you are working for a client, you're gonna show something to your client, and the client is gonna tell to you to change something, and it's gonna be easier if you have copies of the previous steps, so it's gonna be easier to retake what you did before and start again with a new way, with a new process. This is the reason why I made here a copy. And I'm going to, this is a dynamis, right? Yeah, this is a dynamis. Let me see. This is a dynamis. So I'm going to, I already have two different polygroups. Okay, they already did, but just to show you how you can do it, it's as easy as a rough cut. I'm gonna make a mask. And let's try to stay as closer to the border as possible. Let's Control W. And the same thing here. And with the rest of the body. Maybe I can going to remove a bit of the mask here. Control W, and now I'm going to split groups. So I'm going to split groups, split. I have the body, and it is still a dynamis. At some point, if we control drag on the canvas, dynamis will close all the existing gaps or holes with the H polish. I'm gonna start polishing this surface to get a flat surface. At this point, as you can see, it doesn't match with the, I'm gonna show you one cool technique now for matching two subtools together for making assembling elements. For example, I'm gonna need a bit more of neck here. I'm gonna create a mask, blur the mask, and let's push. Let's move a little bit here, till here. If I turn on the transparency, it's gonna be, the neck is gonna be necessary to have a portion of the neck a little bit inside of the necklace of the collar. I'm not sure about how to pronounce collar in English, because the word is it's the same word that we are using in Spanish to call the same thing. So collar, well, I'm saying collar, it's in Spanish. If you are saying collar, maybe in English. That's the reason why I'm not sure if I pronounce it well. So I'm having this, and the same thing with the head. Control drag. I'm still working with a very low resolution mesh, or with the low amount of, I think 200,000 polygons, low amount, not a high dense mesh. So blur the mask, and let's, for example, with the transpose line, let's push it inside of the collar or collar. Let's keep a safety space between both edges or borders. Maybe this one should be higher, and maybe this had to be safety and space between each one. So okay, so we can control drag, we can clean this a little bit with the H polish. I like to call this brush the file or the sending tool, because the feeling that I'm having is when I need to remove material or make surfaces flat, when you're working with clay, real clay, or with wax, you're grabbing a file or sending tool, and this is what I get. Okay, and now what we need, I'm going to hide this, I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to hide this little star floating on there. So I'm gonna turn off my Boolean because this technique doesn't work. You are having the live Boolean active. I'm going to keep visible only the parts of the panther. What is the color here? I'm gonna rename it collar. Used to pour 8 terabytes of drive to save files every file. Wow, why are you doing that? I'm saving my. I am still saving my quick save on my C drive, on my local C drive. But I keep all my files safe on external hard drive, but it is 1 terabyte, not 16 terabytes of total amount of files and recordings. But it's just the matter. Each person is having its own way of organization of their files. Do I do wood work? No, I do. No, I don't. I haven't working with wood. But the wood carving, it's amazing. The things that the people, the craftsmen of wood are able to make with a piece of wood. You have had hardware fail a few times, and yeah, probably. Probably I can take it with. Try to don't. Yeah, but it's good. It's good to have things safe. What I do is I try to keep all the important files on the cloud at the same time that I'm having copies on the external, on an external hard drive. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I want to show you. So I'm gonna hide the body. I'm sorry, the head this time. I'm gonna select the collar. If I turn on the polygon color, you can see that the collar is selected. Now I'm gonna flip it. Flip. So you're gonna able to see it, the mesh from the inside. You want to know where this button is. Here at the bottom of the tool menu, you will see the display properties. Here is the flip button. You can flip any mesh. So now you are working from the inside of the mesh. And now it's time to change from the collar to the body of the panther. And now using this very cool brush, very old-fashioned brush, because it comes with from the beginning of ZBrush. Maybe before I start making anything, it's gonna be necessary to push this a little bit more to the inside. So the first step is try to select your camera view, your point of view. That it's going to be the point of view is this is going to be the brush and this is going to be the mesh. So the brush and the mesh should be perpendicular, 90 degrees between each other. So it's not going to be correct if you are having this wrong orientation. It needs to be completely perpendicular, one against the other. So it's going to be something like this for having success with this technique. So see project, and now we are going to project the body of the panther against the surface of the collar. It's like a fake Boolean operation. Let's make it think something like this. And now you are having perfect match between each other. So to something like this, or at least, because probably the objective is not having a perfect match, because we're going to need a little room between each other, between a little space, a little gap between both pieces. But we're going to have a reference where the body of the panther should ends and where the collar starts. So it's going to be a good reference anyway. So this is what we have. Control drag for the dynamis, and now we have having a completely perfect fitting between each other. So let's repeat the same with the panther. Another thing to consider is that there must be only visible the tools that it's going to be affected. For example, if you have more tool visible, the brush will consider all of the visible subtools. That's the reason why it's going to be better to keep everything hidden if you are not going to, if they are not going to be necessary on the projection. So let's repeat the same thing. And for this technique, it's very good to work with the Dynamics or with the Sculptors. It hasn't too much sense. It works, but as you are going to stress on a lot the mesh, it's going to be better to work with Dynamics, because once you have the surface done, maybe you are going to have this kind of issues on the borders, maybe, and with the Dynamics it's going to be easier to fix. Here we have a little gap point. The Dynamics is one of the ways of working that I love of ZBrush. So let's flip it again. No, it is not you. Here, flip, and now we have the perfect match between the. Now what I can do is what is the head? This is the head. So I can use the smooth peaks to apply a smoothness on the border, on the edge, something like this. And now maybe at this point is going to be a good moment to start thinking about a more dense mesh, because we're about to start working with more details on the surface. If we are having now 64 resolution, maybe let's try with 128. Let's see how many polygons ZBrush is giving us. So it is still giving it. I'm still having less than 1 million, so I think it's going to be a good number. So maybe probably at the highest resolution or the highest density of this portion of the mesh, it could be around 1 million or 1.5 million. So, but at the moment that we are now, so we are still sketching and changing things. Maybe less than 1 million is going to be more than necessary. Maybe like on the body, we have less than 1 million. So we are having here a problem, or well, maybe it's going to be time to find the solution to the bottom part. If we turn this on and we use the transparency, we can repeat the same technique here, but I think sometimes it's going to be useful, but sometimes as easy as to use in this case, the clip curve for having a horizontal cut is going to be enough. And now another issue that I'm having now, as you can see now, that it's not flat on the back. It has, so I'm going to need a completely flat surface. So what we can do, a very well-known technique and very useful when we are working with reliefs or bas reliefs, we can call this as a high relief or medium relief piece. Or I mean that it is not a full three-dimensional object. So if we are looking for just to extrude or to push back only the back part of the piece and then cut it to get a completely flat surface, a very useful feature inside of the polygroup menu is groups front. So you can see now it's only one group, now it's two groups. So let's say Ctrl W to apply only one group, select the right angle. Now it should be completely front, as I said before, horizontal 90 degrees from the canvas, and now group front. And now I have two groups. I can now Control tap here, and now we can push it to the back, and now we can use the clip curve, for example, and now it is completely flat. And this is still working as no, I didn't maybe clean the mask first. So let's cut it here. Okay. Control drag, new mask. Perfect. No, not perfect, because we had a problem with the thing that we did before. So let's see if I try to. I'm gonna try to mask. If not, it's gonna be necessary to repeat the operation I did before the fitting. Let's put a mask here. Okay, so let's blur the mask now, and now let's push it back. Now I think it's gonna be more than enough. And from this view, control, let's make it flat, and control drag. Now we are reaching 1 million. I think this is still good enough. Okay, the back part is gonna be hidden, so I don't care about how perfect now the back part is, because at some point I'm gonna cut it with a boolean. But I think we can have something more cleaner, no, like that than before. So I have this. So the cubes, they are not, and maybe I can. This is not the back. This is not the back. This is not the back. This is the back. This is okay. This is the level, the necessary level of the back. So okay, so let's repeat the same thing with the head. Maybe with the head, you can see it's almost flat. In this case, it could be as easy as to apply a simple mask here. So now you are grabbing at the same time the back part, and now we can with the gizmo, and now we can push it back like this and control drag. We are almost reaching 1 million, so it's okay. So this is what we are having. Okay, I think we are. So you can see now this is the space. The coyote is gonna be. This is gonna be one piece. Okay, the back of the box, and it will be something like this. The metal part. Okay, let's see this, and with if I turn this on, turn this on, turn this on, and turn this on, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. Oh, okay. It's gonna be necessary to. It will be something like this, and plus the background pattern. So this is gonna be casted as one piece, and we are still need the bed or the surface of the panther. I already got it before, but I was not happy with it, so it's gonna be necessary to make it again. Okay, let's see. I have a knock on wood. In 8 years, I have never lost files in a I'm working on 3 different with ZBrush. Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, me either. But sometimes that happens. But it's good to have a safety plan or plan B for everything. I hope ZBrush supplying you free subscription for you. I think maybe today, not sadly. That time's ended, so you need to pay for having access subscription of ZBrush. To copy, I didn't know about that C project. Yeah, the C project is very useful for many different things, but the main application, the main usage I make with it is for when I need to create fittings between different parts. When I need to know that one thing different than, of course, you can use the Boolean system, but when you are sculpting, you are not looking for definitive or very clean cuts on shapes. It's a very good way to do this. Hey Bhupendir Sharma, welcome. I'm fine, thank you. Glad to be here. Okay, let's see. Let me revise your comments. Okay, so we can keep working. Okay, so we have we need the plates. Okay, this is the original panther, and this is the more or less the definitive panther. Maybe we can apply. What is this? Maybe I can use this. I already have a subtool here. This is just a plane. I don't know for what I have in this plane here. Okay. No. Delete. Delete. Maybe I can. Okay, I forgot to mention before when we were talking about the folders and subfolder. I think probably all of you know that you have this another method with this start arrow where you can organize different subtool. For example, if I can make a group under the folder where I'm going to group all of the subtools necessary only for the panther. For example, I'm going to insert a cube here. Let's make a cube bigger. Cube, something like this. Squeeze it. And this is going to be negative. It should be here somewhere. And it will go from here to here. So at any point, if I click here, you can see you are only able to hide or show or hide the subtools between the two arrows with arrow from the start. So you are telling to ZBrush turning on and off the subtool which are between two different start arrows, and could be very useful in some cases. Like this, for example, if I start working on the background or on the stone setting, I can hide everything or just hide this. So you're going to be able to just clicking one eye, you will hide all of the subtool which are underneath the selected one till the next start arrow. Yep. Let's hide this. And if I start pushing this should be here somewhere. Here, and maybe the collar needs to be below, underneath this. It should be something like this, more precise, like this. You need to know one thing. When I usually create a model, okay, tell me, Bupender or Bupendir, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. When you usually create a model in ZBrush, what? Okay, now it's time for. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do for creating the plate necessary, because or the bed of for the panther, we can call it the bed. So that means that as I had before, that the eye, it's gonna be necessary to have a little bed here when the to raised. For example, if I have, this is gonna be the height of the pattern. Okay, why am I having this? Because I have here the surface noise, right? Let me have this thing first. Okay, like this. This is gonna be the height. It's going to be necessary to have a bed here following the contour of the bed of the panther. So where the panther, the piece of the panther is going to be glued or assembled on the surface. So the panther is not going to be assembled directly on the bottom of the surface, because this is going to be the bottom of the surface. The NML will cover mostly till the border from this point to this point. So I'm talking about this depth. So from here we're going to need a wall here, and this is going to be the bed or the surface where the panther is going to lay. And this, so for that we can do this with different processes. I was making this with one process on my previous stream, but today I'm gonna use a completely different one. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn this on, turn this on, turn this off, and turn this on. And I'm gonna hide this, and I'm going to make the boolean. So you know that if you click here on the gear, you can make the boolean of the subtools which are contained on inside the selected folder. So give me the boolean results. So ZBrush will start calculating, and you will get the result here at the bottom, right? The cool thing about this is the polygroups. Oh, I did something wrong here because I'm gonna repeat it. Because why I'm gonna repeat it? Because this is the topology of the cube that I'm having. As it is a very so low resolution cube, this is the topology that I'm having on the back. For the thing that I have in mind, this is not going to be very useful. So let me delete it. I repeat it. So what I'm gonna do is, let me group by normals this piece, and let's change the topology of the cube. Series measure. Keep the groups. Don't apply any smoothing to the groups. Give me the double, and let's start series meshing. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, as many times as necessary, till having small quads like this. Like this is gonna be better. So for the thing that I'm about to create. So let's repeat the same thing. Boolean folder. And this is the result. And this is you can see now the topology is more dense on the back. This is going to be much better. And what I'm looking for is just the profile of, or the contour of the panther. So just Control Shift and tap here. I can remove, delete hidden, and I have the portion of the mesh that I'm looking for. So let's see if I put it here. If I turn this on, I can now use this. Okay, and here it must be here. Here, and now it's time for apply thickness to this simple surface. Let's see how it works, because I have a lot of triangles on the border. Most of the time, it's not a good idea having triangles when you're about to make an extrusion or to apply thickness to a mesh. But let's see how it works, because they are very small ones. So if I go to dynamic subdivision and turn this on, I don't want to apply in a smooth, and then start give me thickness here. And this is what we get. This is the thing that I was talking about. These issues I'm having here, are about the triangles. So what I can do is I'm gonna increase the polygroups, Control D to subdivide, and let's series mesh it. Or having a cleaner topology, mainly in the borders. So series measure, give me double, keep the groups, don't apply any smoothing to the groups, and now give me a new topology. Most of the time the topology is very important. What I did, can, if I turn this off, most of the time I'm not very worried about the topology, but ZBrush for any reason is deciding that it needs to remove the bottom part. I don't know what. Let's undo it. Maybe if we create 2 different polygroups like this. Let's see. Strange. What? I don't know. Let's start a plan B using the C modeler. UMS, all polygons. We are still having the same issue here with the triangles. I don't know why. Now it works. I don't know why, but now it works. So this now I'm having a cleaner surface without triangles. Okay, we can have some but probably they are not going to be a very good big issue. Maybe if I series measure again, now you can see now it's better. Maybe here we are still having, no, they are not triangles. And now we can use the technique that I was looking for before. So using that dynamic, you're gonna start applying thickness to any surface. And from this point, this thing is gonna be very important, very, very useful. Because if you can see here, because the good thing about this thickness is you can control the offset. You can grow the thickness to one side or to the other side. And in this case, it's gonna be, or exactly in the middle. And this thing is gonna be very useful. You send it to this. So, and this is going to be perfect. And we can now, how thick is this? Oh, we're having triangles here, I think. Yes, we are still having triangles or what? Yes, we're having a kind of weird thing here. If we make a mask and polish it, we have two different polygroups. Let's delete this one. Come on. Now, dynamic. For some reason, it disappears. Maybe this is the problem we were having before. Maybe it's gonna be the main reason. Here. Let me see why it's happening. This one. Oh yeah, because I was flipping the mess. So okay, let me relax this part, and now we can series measure. It is still making strange things here in this area. I don't know why. Let's invert the mess and try to relax the mess there. Yeah, now it's fixed. Let's see now. Let's with thickness. Looks like works better. Yeah, now it works, I think. Okay. We can apply, and now if we want to know, for example, how thick is this, the first thing that I need to know is where is this is going to be the bottom part with light boolean. Without this, and this should be here. And from this point, this part should be thicker. How thick is this? Using the transpose line from left to right, here I have 1/2 millimeter almost. Again, it's to be a little bit thicker. Yeah, 1 millimeter is gonna be enough. If I turn this on, one thing you can see here is still having sense. Maybe a little bit thicker, or having a tolerance between the highest point of the background, because here is where we are going to create the gap or the pool for the enamel. So the enamel is going to be contained by a box of different walls. So we need to know we're having the right distance for the walls. Probably we can say that the main rule is having at least 0.6 millimeter depth if you want to pour enamel inside of a gap. So here we have more than this. From the bottom till the top we're having 1 millimeter. Maybe it's not going to be necessary to be so much. Maybe we can leave it around 0.8 millimeter. It's gonna be, I think this is gonna be a more realistic thing. So with this is going to be the thing. And this, maybe the curve is going to be necessary to be fixed, maybe, but this is the head is going to lay here and the body is going to lay here probably. Okay, of course it's going to be easier if we try to fix the panther a little bit. This. And as we did before, we decide that this needs to be, this part of the tail, it's going to be better if it touches the walls like this. This goes or avoid the gaps, those little gaps like this. Okay, let's be safe before read your comments. This is going to be the number 4. Okay, let me revise your comments because I have lost many. They come down. I need to know one thing. When I usually create a model in ZBrush, they become down the scale if I import it in. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a very common issue that happens. The first answer that I can give you is, for example, if you are making things inside of ZBrush and you are about to export what you are doing to an external software, I always recommend you to export into a OBJ format. Avoid to use STL format. You are gonna retain the scale units better if you are using OBJ instead of STL. It's a matter of the codification of the file format. And if you are still having issues, you can take a 2 safety step. Is, for example, if you are about to export this piece, if we go to the scale master, this piece is 28 but 28.38 by 26.97 by 5.96 millimeter. You want to be sure that you're going to export this mesh with the right measurements. Of course, you can use this button, and this technique was developed and fixed years ago. It should work, but if it doesn't work for you, you can use this plugin. You can use the 3D Print Hub, and before export anything, update the Sage radius. So ZBrush is asking to you which units would you like to use. For example, okay, we are going to work in millimeters, and you can see now the measurement has been updated, and now you can use this export button to OBJ or to STL if you prefer to use STL format. But the good thing about this process is that you're going to record the information of the measurements before export the file. If for any reason you're going to miss the measurements information during the exporting process. So my recommendation for you is to use the 3D Print Hub for exporting your files. Try this and let me know if it works or not. Mario, bienvenido. Nunca es tarde. Luego te puedes ver el vídeo grabado. Pero muchas gracias por estar aquí. Delete and hidden, yeah. Odd. Yeah, Casey, it was because the mess was, I was facing the part of mess that it was hidden. It was necessary to flip it. That's the reason why was happening weird things with the visibility. Hello, Darko, welcome. Yeah, you hate corners. Yeah, Silver Mason doesn't like it. Yeah, because if you want to retain corners, most of the time the best solution is, for example, you have a mesh, something like this. Okay, something like what as I had, and this is the mesh. This is more or less the mesh that you want, and you want to keep this a corner. For example, here you want to have one corner here, for example, from here to here. I recommend to you to crease this H before push the Siri Master button. So select any sides which matches this point, the vertex point, and try to apply a creased edge. And now when you are clicking the ZBrush measure, don't forget that you can consider the groups or the creases. If you keep both active, maybe you will get better corners and better angles. KCD, you just have to use separate polygroup, or as Casey said, or maybe you can create different polygroups for keep the corner. You can use crease of polygroups. Yeah, I know, but this was working with a very complex design. It was hard to get No, it isn't. It is not hard. For example, when I managed to fix the corner with some tweaking, you can do this. For example, let me show you. Let me create a quick example. For example, you're having a plane. Don't forget to use this brush. Or maybe I'm gonna try to give you another solution. Probably you already know it, but I will try to help you. For example, you subdivide this, and you can with the move brush. The move brush. The move brush, and you have some kind of this kind of thing. Don't forget to use the slice curve brush. For example, you can create a polygroup like this. Okay, if you are having subdivision level, you need to delete them first. You can create this kind of polygroups. You can select this and create a new polygroup, and now you can keep the groups, give me the same, don't apply any smoothing, and then maybe probably you will get the corner in the center. And another good tip, if you are having something that is almost that you're looking for, but it is not perfect for you and you want to improve it, you can use this brush, smooth groups. Apply a bit of smoothing here and create a new. Then you will get a much cleaner topology in the corner. The smooth groups, just a little bit, it's a way that you have to tell to ZBrush to start relaxing the points which are involved in the corner. So at the second or the third or whatever you have, how many times you are trying, at the second try you will get better results if you relax the mesh first before clicking on the ZBrush measure button. It can be very tricky to do in ZBrush with hard surface, but there is always a way, but sometimes not the most efficient, and you just need to hop into it. Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no. The ZBrush is the only software that I use. I don't use any software. Okay, so to be honest, I only use Mesh Mixer for make things hollow inside, but talking about the sculpting or 3D modeling, this is the only software that I use. For example, if you are having this kind of problem here, you can smooth the groups here and ZBrush measure. If you are not still having good result, smooth a little bit, maybe with less intensity. Magical touches, and you will get better results. You can see here, we are still having better and better results with the help of this technique. And that conical off, how do I make sure to crease apply to that corner? You can create a polygroup and apply crease by polygroup, or you can use the C modeler. For example, you can stay here, press, and you can apply crease here. You can apply one crease, for example, to the whole loop, or you are looking for just for the one edge, like this. With the C modeler, you're gonna have more options for creasing. Adaptative size to 0. This value is a value that tells to ZBrush if you are looking for quad shapes, new polygons instead of elongated or extruded polygons. So you are looking for more perfect the result of your mesh, you are looking for more regular quads. If you are pushing this to this value, you will get more polygons like this based on the form that your model has. Well, depends on the thing that you are looking for. For example, if you have one cube, for example, this is very good to see if you are we are using a cube frame, make a polymesh, only one polygroup, and now we go to the ZBrush measure and go to adapt the size to 0, and we are looking for double. You can see we are still having quads, but if we push it to the maximum size, you can see what happens on the corner. It's completely more messy, but sometimes it's better to have this kind of, or in the middle you will get this. You can see how the polygons are stretched. Depends on how close they are to the border of the cube. Sometimes adaptive size to 0 works. Sometimes if you have a lot of curves and a lot of forms, maybe it could be a problem, but depending on the form that you want to remesh. Trying to do everything is simple because I'm using 3D Max. Yes, I've been using 3D Max for years, so it's easy for me. But I want to learn. Yeah, I think again maybe 3D Max for this kind of stuff is more technical. Maybe, I don't know, because I don't know 3D Max, but the simple solutions that ZBrush gives you, I prefer the simple solutions. Okay, let's come back to the model. What time is it? Okay, we only have 3 minutes, so maybe it's time for call this done for today. Next step that I'm going to take, maybe I will work a little bit more in my free time for trying to finish this project on my next streaming, because I'm still need to think about these parts, because this part they are going to be assembled as a different part, because they are going to be different metal, different color, so they are going to be casted and assembled as different parts. And the idea that I have in mind is to use this is the reason why I have this. It's like using I always forgot the technique. It's like when you are carving wood, it's like carving the surface when you are using tools like this one, which has these shapes. They are like a very sharp knives. When you are cutting the metal, you are following the path and you are cutting the metal. Now I don't remember now the name in English. It's like and now you are, at the same time that you are cutting the metal, you are creating this kind of shape on the surface, which is very reflective, because you are polishing and cutting the surface of the metal at the same time. And it could be and also it's a very well-known technique in jewelry, so it can apply more value to the design. Or maybe instead of using this idea, because here with this technique we're going to have a lot of brightness here, a lot of bright here, it's going to be cool, I think, for having this kind of, because it's going to bright with the position of the pendant. Is going to be, I think the finishing is going to be very cool. But or looking for something more sculptural, like having this shape with more like this, with different heights and different angles, with different kind of strokes on the surface. At this point I'm not sure, but maybe my preference is gonna be this. Yeah, photolithography. Yeah, the idea is the same thing, but with when you're talking about the photolithography, it is the same technique but using another material. But this is engrave. When you are engraving, engrave technique is when you are engraving using this kind of knives. And it's very well known when in clocks, watches, and other surfaces. The next stream is going to be, I'm going to try to make it next month in August. So now I try to make one stream by month. August is the different month because a lot of vacation holidays, but I will try to be here next month as well. I hear you there, man. I love the feel of ZBrush and it's so good and almost. Yeah, I'm agree with you, Casey. Plus, it really sucks overhelp. Yeah, I think the lack that the ZBrush probably has or can be has. I think for me it's an advantage because probably the solution are easier and more direct than other software where you need more technical knowledge to be good at the other softwares. With the ZBrush, you can grab one mess and be messy and make a lot of things and having a piece of art. If you are not having their necessary knowledge, for example, for use in 3D Max, you are not almost able to create good things, I think, my opinion. Okay, thanks Casey for being here during the streaming. Today we have been talking about many different things. I think probably I didn't make a big progress, but it's taking shape, this piece, instead of in terms of production. So today it started to be more finished and not so sketched as when I started, and I really appreciate your help, your comments, and I will be here next month. I recommend you to pay attention for the next streamers who are making a really cool things, and I will wait you here next month. So thanks to everybody and see you in August. Bye, take care.